Hey, what's going on? So, I say so a lot. It's been a couple weeks since I touched this thing. I'm going to try to fill it with coolant today. See if the cooling system is going to cooperate. I also grabbed the oil fill cap for my parts fan and promptly left it at home. So interesting development. I'm an idiot. I'll show you why in a second here. Just wasted a bunch of coolant.
Add more water.
I'm going to add more water, but I gotta take care of the problem first. Oh, it is all leaking straight out of this thermostat housing.
I'll trade you issues. I'd rather do a thermostat housing than continue with this heater for it.
So trade vans? Just issues?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible.
Well, what good are you?
I'm not any good.
Like a brand new bolt right here.
Well, it's leaking the more that I loosen this, so... Was it just tight? Or was it... No? Was it just loose? No, I don't think it was loose. Because if anything, I'd strip it out. It's my fucking gorilla hands. See, I'm wondering if that thermostat just slipped out of its place.
Did you put it in backwards?
No, copper pellet towards the motor. Right?
Yes. Did I put mine in backwards?
Hmm?
I'm like, wait, did I put mine in backwards? No, I didn't. But also, it's not leaking.
Thanks.
And that was after 2 different inputs.
You want to do mine? Because apparently I suck at these. The last one I did leak too. And that other green van. Maybe it's just green vans. I just can't do thermostats on green vans.
Oh, man, that's the problem.
Huh?
That's the problem.
5/16 or an A, yeah. I got it though. Let's see what Jim did wrong. Hey, nobody's perfect. Baby, how'd you learn how to do that? Well, it's a secret. That's exactly what happened. The thermostat slipped down when I was tightening it. Well, that sucks. Man, I don't feel like doing this again today.
I mean, did you break it?
Nah, I could just like tighten the thermostat. Alright. See that? The thermostat slipped down. That nifty little flange I was talking about? Well, it doesn't matter in this case, apparently. Oh yeah, thermostat's bent. Where is it? Wait.
That's alright.
Yeah, it looks alright. Huh.
Just put it in backwards now.
Just put it backwards now. I'm glad I didn't break the housing then. Always something. So I'm kind of dead in the water today. I don't have time to go chasing down gaskets. Oh, auto parts storage, probably like $2, but I got them at home, so I'll grab one at home tonight and get back to this tomorrow. I was gonna try to put this on. Got this from my parts fan. That lower piece went on way easier than I thought it would. Kind of just line it up and kind of place the top part of the trim over the clip and then pop the bottom piece on. So gotta get these guys out. Ta-da! Oh, I got it on. I accomplished something. So now I can go back to work and list stuff on eBay.
Pick up the warehouse?
Or
Pick up the warehouse?
I haven't listed anything this week. I feel like I don't accomplish anything unless I actually list something. I will see you tomorrow. Alright, had a hell of a debacle yesterday trying to get this car on a trailer. Bought a sob out of a storage locker. I know I should know better. Give you a better idea what happened here. You can see the impression right there in the gasket. The thermostat, it's supposed to sit inside this ring here. And I guess while I was installing it, it fell out down to here. So I tightened it down wrong. It's my fault. So get this taken care of now. Luckily I didn't warp the flange on the thermostat. Still sits nice and flush. I don't know how I didn't break the housing or bend the thermostat or jeez. We all make mistakes, it happens. So I decided to make sure this isn't happening again. Yep, should stay in there that time. All right, that's back on. Remember, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. Just gotta put the hose on. All right, I gotta tighten that one down. Put this one on. Tighten that one down. Don't forget my wrench. And fill it back with coolant. And cross my fingers. Remember when I noticed that heater hose had a little cut in it and I decided to do nothing about it? Yeah, that just bit me in the ass. Because it is cut all the way through and it's leaking. So all the water I just put in there is kind of a waste. It's my own fault. It's my own fault. That's why you can't be too trustworthy in other people's abandoned projects, because you don't know what quality work they did. All right, so we got the radiator holding coolant. I see no more visible leaks. It was also leaking from this one, and it wasn't cut. It was just that he had it moved too far down on the elbow, or the tube isn't round, and he tried to tighten it down there. So yeah. All right, go get a key and see if this thing will start and go from there. Well, it actually fired right up, so that's good. Just gotta wait for the thermostat to open and keep an eye on the coolant temp. Wait for the thermostat to open and keep an eye on the coolant level. No, it's gonna be a while. Just figured out I can't put the stock air cleaner assembly back on because somebody put one of those GM HEI style distributors on it. Not the end of the world. Every so often I keep pushing the air pocket out, so just have to wait until it stops pushing all the air out. Pretty much. Anytime you do any work on the cooling system, you got to bleed the system, get all the air out of it. That's what I'm doing right now. Oil pressure, water temp hasn't moved though. I don't even know if that temp sensor even works. be totally honest with you, I don't even know if it's wired up the right way. So it's always good to have a nice set of aftermarket gauges. I might put a set in here just to know exactly what's going on. How much you want to bet somebody didn't put these heads back on right? Filled it with coolant, let it warm up. It's running like complete shit now. Like, it won't even go into gear. It's running so bad. Look at it, right in gear. Wait, now it's going into gear. It's got a misfire now, that's for sure. Yeah, that's running like crap now. Come on, back over here. I had to mess with that timing some. You guys are all dirty, I'm sorry. I didn't notice you guys are so dirty. I'm sorry. Probably have to mess with that timing some still. So this may be where I stop on this van for now, until I decide what I want to do with it. My goal was just to make it mobile, so I have to push it wherever, you know, so I can start up and move it if I need to. So I'm not sure what direction to go from here. Well, one above and beyond my goal, at least I made it drivable to a point, to made it mobile, so if I need to get in and move it, I can move it. So I guess I'm not sure what direction I'm going with this one, whether I'm just gonna flip it or what. I like to be able to bring these vehicles back from death, basically, to, you know, people abandon them to the point where they haven't touched them in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years or more. I like to pick them up at that point, bring them back enough so that someone can take over from there. But I'm not sure what direction I'm going with this one, since the cooling system isn't correct, and obviously, as you saw here, the carburetor's popping, but it could be related to the overheating. But it's all the fun of figuring out what's going on with these vehicles, huh? Again, I don't claim to know everything. I just like to mess around with these old cars and trucks, and you get the idea. It's still bubbling in there, and the temp gauge isn't working. So hey, when I have another day that's pretty much free, I'll free day, yeah, right. So that's where I'm at on this one. A little aggravated right now, but that's what happens when you buy things that were somebody else's abandoned projects. So yes, it runs, yes, it drives, but cooling system isn't 100% yet, and I don't know if it's because a botched cylinder head install, or if it's got a bad water pump, or yeah, a little disappointed right now, because I've got other vehicles that would benefit more from me spending time on them than this one. My green unibody that I've been neglecting for a couple of years now, that I really want to get that back on the road. It's got clutches going out, transmission's grinding, and it developed an issue with the fuel system from sitting. So definitely needs my help. I've got my dad's panel truck up on the lift still that I kind of lost interest in working on when my wife passed away. So I'm trying to motivate myself to get back to working on that. So this is exactly why people say don't buy other people's abandoned projects. This is what I do know. Head gaskets were replaced at some point. I don't know if the vehicle was completely put back together since then and running driving, or if it wasn't. What I do know is that the cooling system was not put together when I picked up the vehicle. So now I'm starting to wonder if they were already having cooling system issues. So what I'm thinking is it could be a couple of things. Thermostat, which I find it hard to believe since I did replace that thermostat, and I always check to make sure I put that thermostat in correctly. Or the water pump. If the water pump's not working, that would cause the lower hose to be pretty much cool and the upper hot, because it's not circulating the coolant and it's just boiling out of the top, which is basically what it was doing for me. It was basically just boiling out of the top. That water pump definitely looks original and untouched. Or it's possible that there is a restriction inside the radiator. Now I have new copper core radiators, so that's not an issue. So if I want, I can swap out the unknown used radiator for a brand new one. Water pump isn't difficult to pick up. It just, I don't know if you're familiar with these small block Fords. The bolts near the water passages on the water pump, they like to snap. So yeah, it's once you do that, then you got to pull the tying cover off and all kinds of, yeah, it's ridiculous. At which point you might as well just replace the timing chain. So I'm gonna let this cool down and get back to it in a couple days. Tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I'm definitely not working on this tomorrow. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna let it cool down, get back to it maybe Monday or Tuesday, as long as the weather cooperates, and try to swap out that thermostat and go from there. Because maybe I got bad thermostat. You know, maybe they gave me a bad thermostat at the parts store. I've wasted so much coolant so far, it's ridiculous. At least this time I could actually catch it. Alright. Yeah, let's start there. And maybe I'll try to wire up some aftermarket gauges on it while I'm at it also. Alright, so I say so a lot. Figure out a game plan. This is what's going on. Draining the coolant right now. Not sure where I left off, but what I think is going on is the coolant is actually boiling over. It's not actual bubbles, it's just boiling over. So I think it could be one of three things. Either the water pump impellers are shot and the water pump is not circulating coolant, because the bottom of the radiator, the bottom hose are like lukewarm at best. Like they're nowhere near as warm as they should be. And it was literally boiling out of the top. I couldn't even touch the upper hose. It was that bad. So it was definitely overheating. I mean, there was steam coming out of it, everything. So either the impellers on the water pump are shot, there's something wrong with the thermostat I installed, which is possible. I grabbed the cheap one. Or there's a blockage in the radiator. I don't think it's a head gasket issue. So, like I said, I think somebody replaced the head gaskets on this at some point, or rebuilt the heads. But after further inspection, I'm pretty sure that they've got some miles on them since then. And how I received the vehicle was cooling system was apart. So leads me to believe that somebody was having issues with the cooling system. I'm going to take it apart as far as the radiator, thermostat, hoses, etc. because I don't want to take the water pump off unless I have to. The water pump's not leaking and it's not making any noise. Also discovered that the alternator is not charging. So while I'm at it, I've got a 3G alternator off a 95 Mustang I parted out earlier this year with the harness. So there should be enough here to do a 3G alternator swap. I don't know if it's good. I never actually started and drove the car, but I have a feeling it's good. The car only had like 58,000 miles on it. I've got new Ford Motorcraft thermostat. I got a couple to choose from. Actually, no, wait, I'll take that back. One is a thermostat, and one's a cap. I found these in my hoard of parts. You know, it's nice to have stuff on hand. And then I also have enough parts and pieces to put a set of vintage Stewart Warner gauges in here. So, bought myself about 3.5 hours of time today. I already drained it. I'm gonna get to work, pull this radiator out, and go from there. All right, just to show I'm not crazy, copper pellet towards the motor. Look, copper pellet towards the motor. So I had it installed right. Well, this is a familiar sight. Yep. So I'm willing to bet that there's nothing wrong with that radiator. No, it is the original one, but I don't know. I don't see any. See, I don't see anything obviously wrong with it. You tell it's got some miles on it. All right, alternator. Oh, anytime you're doing any kind of charging system work, always disconnect the battery first, whether it's just the positive or both of them or whatever. Just you know, safety's sake. You don't want any happy accidents. So the important parts are the same. This has a physically larger case. This one's a little bit smaller, but I think there should be enough swing on the factory lower bracket to make up for it, I hope. I'll find out the hard way, I guess. Only issue I'm seeing right now, besides potentially that, is the adjustment bolt. The original is threaded, and this one is not. So I might have to put like a bolt and a nut in there instead. Not the end of the world. I will have to change the pulleys. So my buddy was telling me that I might run into an issue with the pulleys, because this has a shorter shaft. But I won't know until I try to put it together. So I'm gonna try to get these pulleys swapped. Regardless, I need to replace the alternator, so I'm gonna try to do a cheap upgrade first. If not, I'll just try and go and, you know, get a reman one and be done with it. So unfortunately, no 3G alternator upgrade for me today. Instead, go drive to Napa Auto Parts and see if they have the correct alternator in stock. So that's a big old wah wah wah. But Good news. Napa had what I believe is the correct alternator. One minor catch. I think he's got the wrong pulley on it. Even the guy behind the counter was a little confused. He's like, what the? It ain't supposed to be on there. Unfortunately, I couldn't leave my old one there for a deposit, because I had to bring this one back to swap the pulleys. Alright, that was quick and easy. Alright. So anytime you change the alternator on one of these old Fords, make sure you grab a new voltage regulator. Because, you know, most vehicles, so nowadays, voltage regulator is internal. But on these old Fords, it was external. This one is located right there next to the battery. That thing looks definitely original. Sadly, I probably have new old stock Ford ones at home, but unfortunately I'm not at home. I'm by my warehouse, so it is what it is. I might have to pull the battery out to get to it. Just 2 bolts that hold it on usually, but pretty easy to swap out. Voltage regulators, if they go bad by themselves, what they'll usually do is make your alternator overcharge. So instead of putting out, you know, 14.5 volts like it's supposed to, or 14.6, whatever it's supposed to be at, what it'll do, it'll end up putting out like 18, 19 volts. It'll overcharge the battery and kill it. So it'll actually kill it pretty quickly also. So if you're having an overcharging issue, it's definitely your voltage regulator. But it's always a good idea to replace them in pairs. Alright, alternator's back on. Everything's hooked up. I ran a new ground wire to the battery. Alright, thermostat's back on. Thermostat is installed again in the correct position. Checked and double checked. Alternator is installed, belt is tight. I'm just gonna hope and I hate to use that term, but pray that the water pump impeller is in good operating condition, and go grab a new radiator and throw it in here. Alrighty then. Where are we at? It's empty. So me being me, see, I have what seems like an endless supply of car parts. See? I'm somewhat of a hoarder. Somewhat of a parts hoarder. Yeah, some might say I have an issue. But these should be new old stock copper radiators. For panel lines. Alright. So this might not actually work. I used one to put in big block van and it fit pretty easy. I'm gonna go take a gander. So apparently this van has the heavy duty big block type radiator in it, which means the radiator I have isn't really going to work. Oh, I could make it work, but see, the mounting points are actually the same. Hoses are in the same locations. I'm gonna have to think on this one for a little bit. So after some hemming and hawing, I decided to put this radiator back in. Because the size difference, the shroud won't fit, and the trans lines are different, a different thread pitch and size. So I walked this thing home struggled to carry it over by my utility sink. Hooked the garden hose up to it and flushed it out for a good while, and a bunch of junk came out, so there's that. But it was flowing pretty freely, so don't think the radiator's the issue. Really hoping that I had a faulty thermostat. I really don't want to have to take that water pump off. You know what really sucks is I lost one of the radiator hold down bolts again. Go figure. Time. I'm out of time for today. But that guy needs a muffler. They tell him he needs a muffler for 3 years now. Anyways. Everything's bolted up. Everything's together. Except for the positive battery cable. That fell down. Still need to fill the rest of the engine with coolant. Well, still need to fill the rest of the radiator with coolant, but save that for tomorrow, along with trying to put these gauges in tomorrow, I guess. Didn't get totally done today because I had to go run and get an alternator, but such is life. I will have just enough time to test the charging system and see if it's working. So let me grab a multimeter and go from there. Hey, guess what's charging? At least something worked out today. I mean, it's barely idling right now, so anything above 12.6 is good, and 13.6 is great. What I like to see is, you know, driving conditions. Unless you're getting 14.5, it's not really working all that great. Well, it's not going any higher, but it's not going any lower either. I'll take what I can get right now. Alright, that's all I got time for today. I gotta get going. I'm already running late, so see you guys tomorrow. Quick, something else I noticed. Look what came out of that radiator. Rocks and dirt, all kinds of stuff. That could have something to do with it. Another day, same van. Figure out where I left off yesterday. My custom hood prop here. Oh yeah, got everything back together. Got most of the coolant back in it. Oh, that's where I left off. Wait till you see this. Before I left yesterday, I went to go pull the gauge panel. I went to go pull the dash panel off to see if there was room here to put gauges. I think there's room to do like 2 gauges. I don't know about 3. But check this out. I think we got a critter in there, or was a critter in there or something. Yeah. Before I go mounting any gauges, I'm gonna have to pull all this out because that's a fire hazard. So it looks like I'm going to be pulling a nest out of a dashboard right now. Yay. Judging by the size of the turds I pulled out of here, it was definitely a rat. And judging by the looks of this cluster, somebody was already in here before me. Or maybe it was a rat, I don't know. But yeah, this kind of sucks. All right, that's a little better. No more rat's nest. Amazingly, it didn't chew up any of the wiring. So, ha, take that, rat. But, yeah, our gauge cluster is no more. It's Enigma. It's both here and not here at the same time. But we're in luck because I have extras. Come on, you know I had extras. Come on now. It's me we're talking about. Also, this HVAC box was loaded with leaves, like jam-packed. And this thing goes back probably a good foot. So, you can see in there or not? I opened this up and shoved the hose in there and sucked it all out. Now, I don't think... I tried to look up behind here. I didn't see any leaves on this side. But let's be honest, there probably are. I'll just wait and see if I replace this dash pad, and then we'll find out then. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Yeah, that's how this van's going. We'll get there eventually, right? Is this it here? Actually, might be it right there. Oh, this is it right here. Ta-da! That one's intact and not falling apart. And look, it's got wood grain on it, so it's an upgrade, right? So maybe I'll use the wood grain and dress it up in there a little bit. This one's all intact. So let's see, is it a match? Oh yeah, look at it, perfect match. Beautiful, you know. All right, since this is together, I'm just gonna put this whole thing in one piece, be done with it, and probably use the matching wood grain pieces for it. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so I lied. I'm keeping the black trim plate on it. I'll save the wood grain for another van. So I'm gonna have to do some surgery. This dash has already seen some better days. There's a crack up here, there's a big chunk missing out here. As long as I keep this stuff intact, like this and this and this, that, as long as I keep all that intact, it'll be fine. But I'm gonna trim probably around here, like this whole piece up here, and then probably down here a little bit, because I want to try and fit 2 gauges right there. I think that's my plan. At least I hope. Instead of going crazy with a Sawzall, do the next best thing. Sawzall blade, handsaw. That worked out pretty good. Always something. So the printed circuit boards are different on these, so I'm gonna have to change circuit boards. So yay. So unfortunately this is just too different and I can't make it work, so I'm gonna have to source the correct cluster for it. No other option at this point. Sometimes you're defeated. Well, another day and another fail. Why am I failing? Water temperature, sunny unit. I'm missing a fitting to adapt it to the intake. Don't have one here. Gauge didn't have one on it. The other gauge had the wrong size one on it. So, yeah. And I only have like an hour left today, so I can't be running around looking for stuff. And the more obvious issue, no gauge cluster. So why can't I put another gauge cluster in here? Well, the 2 gauge clusters I have on hand will physically bolt in here, and the speedometer would work, but nothing else will. The printed circuit board on the back is different for a fuel gauge, and the 2 clusters that I have both have idiot lights versus the cluster that came in here at actual gauges. So this whole thing is different. It's all wired different. So yeah, the only saving grace I might have is, oh wait, the parts fan had that in it. I've got 2 vans. I've got 2 vans in my storage lot that both have clusters in them. I think I have another cluster there as well. So there's still a chance I might have the parts already. This is unfortunate, but it's what it is.